This is Katerina from the Evolution of Stitches, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to knit this beautiful pair of baby booties using straight needles. This pair is size adjustable. If you know the measurement of the baby, you can customize it. For this tutorial I've knitted this pair for older babies when they are about 8 to 12 months old. What you will need in order to customize the baby booty is, if you would like to knit it for a younger baby, you will need to cast on fewer stitches and add fewer increases. And if you would like to knit it for an older baby, then you'll do the opposite. Cast on more stitches and add more increases. But let's start. For this tutorial I am going to use these 4mm straight needles, but of course you can also use circular needles, and I'm going to use this white acrylic yarn. You won't need too much, like 50 grams. So let's start. The first thing I will do is to cast on my stitches. The way I do it is that I fold my yarn. So I use, let's say, double yarn for the cast on stitches, and then I use my thumb in order to place this yarn on the needle. I like to cast on my stitches in pairs. These two are the first ones, which I never use. I am going to drop them from the needle when I knit my first row, because they are never very well shaped, and I continue in this way. Of course, you can cast on your stitches the way you prefer. If you would like to see how I cast on my stitches, there is a video tutorial, because I am going to unknit these two stitches when I knit my first row. I am going to cast on 32 stitches. But of course, if you use any other method, you will need to cast on just 30 stitches. So please cast on your stitches and I will meet you then. I have cast on my stitches. There are 32 stitches on my needle, but I'm going to use the 30 of them. So now I'm ready to start knitting my first row. My first row is going to be knit stitches, but please, before that, make sure that you have cast on the right number of stitches. So please count your stitches. I have 32 stitches. As I said, I'm going to drop these two, and now I'm ready to start knitting the first row. What I always do is that I don't knit this first stitch. I just slip it on the right needle, and now I'm ready to knit my stitches the way you prefer. So please knit your stitches, and I will meet you at the end of the row. When you get to the end of the row, there should be 30 stitches. Please knit your stitches and I will meet you just before the end of the row. So I have knitted my first row of stitches. I'm almost at the end of my row. I stopped here because I would like to show you that I am going to drop these last two stitches. So now I have 30 stitches on my needle. Please don't worry about these tails. I am going to weave them in when I finish the booty. Now I'm ready to start knitting the second row, because, as I said, this part of my project is the sole of the baby booty. I will need to add increases in order to give it the shape of the sole and the width which is necessary for the booty. So what I will do is to add increases. Please let me show you how and where you should add your increases. The first thing you should do is just slip the first stitch on the right needle and purl the second stitch. So now you have 2 stitches on the right needle. In order to create the increase, what I do is that I use my thumb and flick my yarn around the right needle, so I have created a yarn over, and this is my first increase. Now I'm going to purl the next stitch. So this is where we insert increases. If you would like to remember and be easier for you, you could use a stitch marker or a safety pin. Unfortunately, I don't have one at the moment, so I will have to remember. Now I will continue by purling 11 more stitches. That is, after my yarn over, I will have to purl 12 stitches. I have already purled one, so I'm going to purl 11 more. Please always check the number of your stitches. So 12 stitches, and this is where I am going to add one more increase. So if you have the correct number of stitches, 12 purled stitches, here I am going to add a yarn over, so an increase, and then I am going to purl the next 2 stitches. And again I am going to add one more yarn over and purl 12 stitches. So and I have purled 12 stitches after the yarn over, and if you have knitted correctly, then you will be left with 2 stitches at the end of the row. Here I'm going to add one more yarn over and purl the last 2 stitches, and in this way I have finished the second row and I'm ready to start my third row. Before we start our third row, we need to count our stitches, and because we added 4 increases, there should be 34 stitches. I have already counted mine, so please count yours and let's go on. So here I'm ready to start my third row. What I will need to do is to knit the stitches. The first one I'm going to slip on the right needle, and then I'm going to knit the next one. Here I'm at the point where my yarn over is, and because if I just knit this stitch, please let me do it so you can see. If I just knit this stitch, you can see that there is going to be a very big hole, and because I don't want that, what I will do is to twist my stitch before I knit it. Please let me show how you should twist your stitch. What you will do is to place the right needle at the back like this, and then again place the stitch back to the left needle. As you can see here, let me try to show it to you. Here we have a kind of a cross created, and now I'm just going to knit the stitch, and now as you can see I have a smaller hole here, and I will continue knitting my stitches until I get to the next increase. That is, I'm going to knit 12 stitches, and there I will do the same thing. I am going to twist this yarn over as well. So I'm inserting my needle at the back, and then I'm just inserting the left needle and place the yarn over back to the left needle, and then I'm just knitting it in the normal way. Again, I have 2 stitches to knit, and then again a yarn over. So again I'm going to twist it, and then I'm going to continue knitting these stitches until I get to my last yarn over here, 2 stitches before the end of the row, which I'm going to twist again. So please finish this row in this way, and I will meet you then. So now I'm ready for my 4th row. My 4th row is going to be a row of increases again. So I turn my needle and I start by slipping the first stitch on the right needle, and then I'm going to purl the next stitch. And because we added an increase at this point, I am going to purl 3 stitches, and then I am going to create my new yarn over. So I have 3 stitches on my right needle, and now I am going to use my thumb and flick the yarn around the right needle in order to create a yarn over, and I'll continue by purling the next 12 stitches. So here is the place where I'm going to insert my next increase. Please always double check the number of the stitches. This is very important. So 12. Here is my next increase. I am going to create a yarn over and then purl. After this purl stitch, I am going to purl 3 more in order to get to the point where my next increase is. If you remember, we added an increase and then we purled 2 stitches, and now because of the increases we need to purl 4 stitches. At this point I am going to create a yarn over, that is an increase, and then continue by purling 12 stitches. And if you count it correctly, then you should be left with 3 last stitches. At this point again I am going to create a yarn over and purl the last 3 stitches. So I have finished my 4th row, which is a row of increases. I'm ready to start my 5th row. We won't add any increases on the 5th row. The stitches should be knitted, but when you get to the increases, what you need to do is to twist them. Please let me show you one more time. So I slip the first stitch on the right needle, and now I'm going to knit the two remaining stitches. I have 3 stitches on the right needle. Here is the yarn over. What I'm going to do, first I place the yarn at the back of the right needle. What I'm going to do is to insert my needle at the back and then insert my left needle like this and knit the stitch. So I have knitted the stitch, but it's kind of twisted. Now I will need to knit my next 12 stitches. So when I knit 12 stitches, I get to the next increase. So here is my next increase. If I count, there should be 12 knitted stitches after this twisted stitch. And now I'm going to twist this yarn over again. So I insert my right needle and then the left needle and like this. And now I'm going to continue knitting 4 stitches to get to the next yarn over. Again, here I'm going to twist the stitch in this way, and I will continue by knitting my next 12 stitches until I get to my next yarn over, which is also the last one. So please always count your stitches in order to make sure that you have the right number of stitches. Again, here like this, twisting it and knitting it. And now I'm going to knit the last 3 stitches, and in this way I have finished this row. So I'm ready to start my 6th row. Ready for the 6th row. Please, before you start this row, check the number of your stitches. We added 4 more increases, so the total number of your stitches should be 38. So ready to start my 6th row. Again, a row of increases. What I need to do is slip the first stitch and then purl 1, 2, 3 more stitches, so 4 stitches on the right needle. Here a yarn over, and then I'm going to purl 12 stitches. So please let me check the number of my stitches. 12. Here again I'm going to insert a yarn over and I'm going to purl 6 stitches. So 6 stitches and then a yarn over again, and I will continue purling 12 stitches. Please let me check. 11, 12. So here a yarn over, and I'm left with 4 stitches which I am going to purl, and in this way I have finished my 6th row. I'm ready to start my 7th row. My 7th row is a row of no increases again. What I need to do is to knit my stitches. I slip the first one. I knit until I get to the yarn over, and as we have said, when we get to the yarn over, we twist it in order to obtain a better result. So I have twisted and knitted this yarn over. I am going to continue until I get to the next one, which is after 12 stitches, and I will knit that yarn over again by twisting it. Like this. I'll continue knitting my stitches until I finish the row. And I'm here at my last yarn over, so again I'm twisting it. I knit my 4 stitches, and in this way I have finished my 7th row. Now I need to check the number of my stitches. Because we added the increases, we should have 42 stitches, so please count your stitches and I will meet you then. Again, I'm about to start a row of increases, so I slip the first stitch, I purl the next 4, so I have 5 stitches on the right needle. Here I create a yarn over, and then I purl 12 stitches. Again I check the number, and here I add a yarn over. Now I'm going to purl 8 stitches and add 1 more yarn over, and 12 stitches which I purl. I have purled 12 stitches, please let me check. A yarn over, and I purl the last 5 stitches. Ready for my 9th row. I have 46 stitches on my needle. Please always check the number of your stitches. Now this is a row of no increases, so we just knit the stitches, and when we get to the yarn overs, we need to twist them. So please finish this row of no increases, and I will meet you at the end of this row. Here I am again. I have finished the row of no increases, 46 stitches on my needle, and now this is my last row of increases. So what I need to do is slip the first stitch, purl 5 stitches, then I will add the yarn over. I will purl the next 12, please let me check. So here because this is, as I said, this is the part of the sole which you cannot see very easily now, but when we finish this will be the part of the sole. If you had knitted with circular needles, it will be easier for you to understand it. And now here I have to add my increase, and I am going to purl ten stitches between the 2 yarn overs in the middle. I'm going to purl 12 stitches, so there must be 12 stitches now. And now I'm going to insert the yarn over and purl the last 6 stitches, and in this way I have finished the increases of my project. So there must be 50 stitches on your needle. Please check the number of your stitches and I will meet you there. And if you like maths, we have 50 stitches because we started off with 30 stitches, but then we added 20 stitches which were divided in 5 rows. So we added 4 stitches on each of these rows, so we end up with 50 stitches. And now we are ready to finish this part of the project, the sole, by knitting the 11th row, the last row of this part, of course, only. So this is a row of no increases. We just knit our stitches. When we get to the yarn overs, we twist them. So please finish this row and I will meet you then. So I have finished this last row of the sole. This is the finished sole. Of course it will be folded in the middle, so maybe now it's not very visible that this is the sole. What I would like to say is that this pattern is size adjustable, and especially if you know the measurements of the baby foot, it's very easy to adjust the size. So if you need a smaller size, you just need to stop adding increases before, and if you need a bigger size, you should add more increases. So now I'm ready to get to the main part of the baby booty. I'm going to use a seed stitch, which is a very nice stitch. It's reversible. The way I do it is this. Again, I'm going to slip this stitch on the right needle, and then I'm going to purl one and knit one, purl one and knit one. You should know that the seed stitch is a 2-row stitch, so what we do is that we alternate the stitches. We purl one, knit one until we get to the end of the row, and then we do the opposite. So please knit to the end of your row, purling one and knitting one, and I will meet you then. So I have finished my first row of the seed stitch. Now, in order to get this texture that you see here, which I think is very nice, what you do is to knit the opposite stitch on the stitch below. So in order to knit the second row of seed stitch, what you need to do is to knit your stitches in the opposite way. I slip the first one as usual. Here I have a purl stitch, so here I am going to knit my stitch. Then I have a knit stitch and I am going to purl. Here I have a purl stitch and I'm going to knit. Then I'm going to purl. I'm going to knit because I have a purl stitch, and in this way we create the seed stitch. I will finish this row and then I will show you how it looks. I am going to knit 8 rows in total. So I have already knitted one. This is my second one. When I finish this one, I'm going to knit 6 more. I think you can already see how this stitch looks, but I will finish this row and the next one, and then I will show it to you. So I have finished this second row. Now I'm going to go on and start the third row, just to show you a little bit more how to knit this stitch. Again, I slip the first stitch on the right needle. Here again I have a knit stitch, so I'm going to purl it. I'm going to knit the purl stitch on top, purl, knit, purl, knit, and this is really what you should do. It's a very easy stitch but very beautiful, I think. Let me get to the middle, so maybe I can show you how the booty will look. Almost in the middle, I mean. So here I need to purl, knit, purl, knit, purl. I think I'm almost in the middle. No. So a little bit more. So here, let's say we are about in the middle. So this is what the booty will look like. This is going to be the sole, and now this is the seed stitch. I hope you can see it. This is the seed stitch. Please knit 8 rows of seed stitch in total, counting the ones I have already done, and I will meet you then. So I have finished 8 rows of seed stitch. The height is around 3 centimeters for these 8 rows. And now I will need to shape the booty, and in order to do so I will add decreases, and because I would like my decreases to be distributed evenly, I will add my decreases in the middle, on the right and on the left side of the central stitch. So if you remember, there are 50 stitches on the needle, so half of them are 25 stitches. So I'm going to count 25 stitches, and then it would be a good idea to use a stitch marker in order to know which your central stitch is. So I have counted 25 stitches on each side. I have placed this safety pin just to know where my central stitch is, and what I'm going to do now is to start knitting this row with the seed stitch, meaning that when I see a purl stitch I will knit on top, and when I see a knit stitch I will purl on top of it until I reach the 4th stitch before the central stitch of my project. So please do it. Again, I'm going to slip the first stitch, and then I have a purl stitch, so I'm going to knit it. I'm going to purl the stitch which was knitted, and now I'm going to knit, and I will continue in this way until I have 4 stitches left. I will meet you then. So I have knitted 21 stitches in order to get to these last 4 stitches, and now here I am going to add my decreases, and I would like my decreases to be kind of slanted to the left, so I will show you how I do it. What I will do is that I am going to insert my right needle in this stitch as if I was going to knit it. I am going to do exactly the same thing with the second stitch, and then I'm going to put them back into the needle, into the left needle, and I'm going to wrap, let me show you, to wrap my yarn around the needle and pull it through both these stitches, and in this way I have created 1 decrease, and I am going to do the same with the second, with the next 2 stitches. So first I'm going to place them into the right needle, and then I'm going to insert the left needle at the front. I'm going to wrap the yarn around the right needle, and I'm going to pull up a loop, and in this way I have created my second decrease. So if you can see now, I have these 2 decreases which are kind of slanted to the left. Now I am going to remove this safety pin or your stitch marker, because then it will be easier for you to continue knitting, and what I am going to do is to add 2 more decreases on this side, but now my decreases would be slanted to the right. So what I'm going to do here is first I am going to place my two next stitches on the right needle, and then I am going to twist them a little bit and place them back on to the left needle, and I am going to knit them together like this. And as you can see, this decrease is slanted to the right. I'm going to do the same for the next two stitches. First, I'm going to place them on the right needle, then I'm going to put them back to the left needle, twisting them a little bit, and now I'm going to knit them together like this. And in this way I have two more decreases which are slanted to the right. I don't know if you can see it, but here we have created these decreases which are slanted. Two are slanted to the left and two are slanted to the right. Now I am going to continue knitting the seed stitch, so please finish this row and I will meet you then. So I have finished knitting this row. As you probably understand, because I reduced the number of my stitches by 4, now I should have 46 stitches on this row. And now I'm ready to turn and work the next row. This row is going to be a row of seed stitches. I'm not going to add decreases on this row. When you get to the decreases, please purl them. I have finished knitting the row with no decreases, and now I'm going to knit one more row of decreases. What I need to do is first divide my stitches in half, and because we have already added 4 decreases, I have 46 stitches. So if you would like to place your stitch marker, you will need to count 23 stitches. And what I will do then is to work my stitches using the seed stitch until I am 4 stitches before this central stitch. So I will knit 19 stitches. Please work these stitches with the seed stitch and I will meet you then 4 stitches before the end. I have knitted my stitches, and at this point what I will need to do again is to create my decreases, and I'm going to create my slanted decreases. So for this side I am going to place the 2 stitches on the right needle as if I was going to knit them, and then I'm going to insert the left needle like this. I'm going to wrap the yarn around and create a new stitch. So I have 1 decrease, as you can see, and I'm going to do the same for the next 2 stitches. So here first and here, and again create a slanted decrease. I don't know if you can see it, but here is the decrease. Now I'm in the middle. I can take away this safety pin. And now I can add my next 2 decreases using the knit two together method. So I'm going to insert my needle like this, yarn over and pull through both loops, and one more, knit two together. So now on this row I have decreased my project by 4 stitches, and for the rest of the row I am going to knit a seed stitch. So I will knit like this, and when I finish this row I will knit the next row using the seed stitch until I come to where my decreases are, and there I will purl these stitches. Please do it and I will meet you then. So I have reached my decreases. Here I am going to purl these 4 stitches, and then I will just finish knitting this row using the seed stitch. Please knit your row and I will meet you then. Because we added 4 more decreases in this row, there should be 42 stitches when you finish this row. So I have finished the row. Let's just recap some things. There were 50 stitches when we started the main part of the project. Up to this point we have knitted 2 rows with decreases, 4 decreases each. So now there should be 8 fewer stitches, meaning that there should be 42 stitches on this row, and I'm going to continue with one more row of decreases. Again, I need to find the center of my project, so if I divide my stitches by 2 I will have 21 stitches. So I will count 21 stitches, and then I will place the safety pin or the stitch marker. Of course, it's easy to find it now because you can see where the decreases are, but anyway, let me do it and I will meet you then. So I have placed my safety pin. I have 21 stitches on this side and 21 stitches on that side. I am going to add 4 more decreases, 2 on each side, so I need to stop knitting my seed stitch here, meaning that I'm going to knit 17 stitches and then I'm going to create my 2 decreases. So please let me knit my 17 stitches. Now I have knitted my 17 stitches. There are 4 stitches to the center of my project, and again here I am going to decrease by using the slip knit method. So I'm slipping the stitches to the right needle and then I'm placing the left needle in the front, and I wrap the yarn around the right needle and I pull up this loop. So I have created the first one. I will do the same slip knit for the second decrease. So to here, insert my needle, yarn over and pull up the loop, and here I'm in the center. I'm going to take away this safety pin. Now I'm going to create 2 more decreases which will be slanted to the right, so I will just knit 2 together. And in this way I have finished the decreases on this row. I'm going to continue knitting my seed stitch. At the end of the row there should be 38 stitches, as we added 4 more decreases on this row. So please finish the row and I will meet you then. I have finished my row, 38 stitches on this row. The next row is going to be a row with no decreases. Please just knit the seed stitch, and when you get to the decreases, please purl them. I have finished knitting the row with no decreases. Now I'm going to start the next row, which is a row of decreases. I have 38 stitches on this row, so I'm going to place the safety pin on the 19th stitch. So you are going to count 19 stitches. So here you can place the safety pin or the stitch marker, and then you are going to knit 15 stitches using the seed stitch, and for the next 4 you are going to decrease using the SSK method. So let me knit my seed stitches and then I will come back to you. So I have knitted 15 stitches. Now I'm going to slip the first stitch, the second, and I'm going to create my decrease and one more decrease in the same way. SSK as it's called. Now I'm going to take away the safety pin and I'm going to knit the next 2 stitches together and the next 2 together. So I added 4 decreases in total, and for the rest of my stitches, which should be 15, I will use the seed stitch. Please do it and then knit the next row, which is the row with no decreases, by using seed stitch and using the purl stitch on your decreases, and I will meet you then. I have finished the row with no decreases, so the total number of my stitches is 34. Now I'm going to stop knitting the main part of the booty and I will start knitting the cuff. If you would like to know the height of this part, it is about 6 centimeters and almost 2.5 inches maybe. And now I'm going to knit the cuff using the rib stitch. The rib stitch is like this. I'm going to slip the first stitch and now I'm going to work my stitches, 1 purl stitch and 1 knit stitch, 1 purl stitch and 1 knit stitch, and I will continue in this way. I will knit about 20 rows because I would like the cuff to fold. Of course, if you would like to have a shorter cuff, you can stop before that. So for the rib stitch, as we said, we knit 1 purl stitch and 1 knit stitch. On the next row, on the other side, you just knit the stitches the way they come up. If it's a knit stitch, you knit, and if it's a purl stitch, you purl. So please knit these rows as many as you like. As I said, I will meet you when I will have knitted 20 rows. So I said that I was going to knit 20 rows, but I thought that you might like to see how the booty will look if you just knit 10 rows, meaning that the cuff won't be able to be folded, but it's also nice. So this is the way the booty looks like. and if you would like you can stop here, or if you prefer you can continue knitting as many rows of rib stitch as you like. So I'm going to continue knitting my rib stitch rows and I will meet you then. So I have knitted 20 rows of this rib stitch one by one. Of course you can always stop here. As you can see, you can fold the cuff of the booty, but I'm going to add another color. So I'm going to add a blue color because I'm knitting these booties for a baby boy. If you don't know how to start a row with a new color, what you do is that you leave a long tail of the new color, which you are going to weave in later. And I am not going to cut off this yarn because I'm just going to knit very little with this new color. So I will leave the white yarn in order to continue later. So basically what I'm going to do is just purl the stitch. I'm going to pull down both yarns in order to secure this first loop. Of course it's not secure yet, I will secure it when I finish knitting with it. And now I'm going to continue working my rib stitch pattern. So here I have a purl stitch and I'm purling it, and then I have a knit stitch and I'm knitting it, and I will continue in this way until I have as many rows as I would like to have this new color. I'm going to just knit this row and the next one. I don't want more rows in blue, and I will meet you then. So please continue and I will meet you then. So I have knitted 2 rows of grid stitch with my blue color, and now I'm ready to cut off this yarn and continue knitting with the white yarn. As you can see, I haven't cut off my white yarn because I was going to knit only 2 rows with my blue yarn. So what I'm going to do now is to cut off my blue yarn, which I'm going to weave in when I finish the booty, and I'm going to continue knitting my grid stitch with the white yarn. So and then I'm going to continue working my stitches as they come up. So when I see a purl stitch I purl it, and when I see a knit stitch I knit it, and I will work 2 rows with my white yarn, and then I will come back to you and show you how to cast off your stitches and sew the 2 sides of the booty together. So please knit these 2 rows and I will meet you then. So now I have finished knitting these 2 rows in white yarn. I'm going to tie these 2 tails from the blue color in order to secure it. I'm going to weave in these tails when I finish the booty, and now I need to bind off my stitches. There are a lot of ways to cast off your stitches. For this booty I will use this method. I will slip the first stitch on the right needle, then I am going to purl the next one if it's a purl stitch, and then I'm going to take the first stitch and place it over the second one. Now I'm going to repeat the same. Here is a knit stitch, so I'm going to knit it, and then I'm going to take this stitch and place it over, and again here is a purl stitch, so I'm going to purl it and place it, and here is a knit stitch. I'm going to knit it, and then I'm going to take the first stitch and slip it over the needle, and I will continue in this way until I finish all my stitches. So I'm here at the end of the row. So now I have one stitch left on my right needle. At this point I can use a crochet hook because it will be easier. What I do is I take out the needle, I insert the hook, and I pull up a loop in order to secure my project. I will cut off a long tail, like about 60 centimeters, in order to use it for the sewing of my project. So I'm going to cut off my yarn here. It's too long, but better safe than sorry. And what I need to do now is to weave in my tails here. So I'm going to thread a tapestry needle, and I'm going to hide these tails in a way that they won't be visible. I will pull up this last, if it's stretchy, I will pull it up, and again I will go on and hide this tail. Then I will cut the rest. If you pull it like this, then it's not visible. This one I will hide here, because then I'm going to sew these sides together, so it won't be visible. Please use any way you prefer in order to weave in your ends, also these ends here and these ends. So please try to hide the blue yarn so it as not to be visible. Like this. Now I can cut off the tail. Again here I'm going to weave in this end and this end and this end, because here I don't have another needle. I'm going to use my crochet hook. This is another method to weave in your ends. Many variations, choose the one you prefer. I mean, you should choose whatever is more convenient for you. Always please pull up the tail. So I've cut it as well. Now I'm going to hide this one. I'm not going to weave in anymore, because these are 3 tails, so it's going to be a bit bumpy, and I'm cutting it. And now I'm ready to thread my needle and sew the two sides together. This boot is reversible, so, meaning that you can wear it from both sides. So I'll try to join using an invisible join. I'm going to place both sides like this, and now I'm going to insert the needle here on the very top, pull it up, and I'm going to insert the needle in the same place like this, and now I am going to insert my needle like this. Here it's a bit bumpy because I also have this blue yarn, and from here I will go here. I am trying to sew the same stitches, the same rows I mean, so it will be even. So here and then here. And I will continue in this way until I reach the end of the booty. When I get to the sole, again I will meet you to show you how to sew this part. So here I've reached the sole. What you need to pay attention to here is to have the two sides placed evenly on one another. Continue sewing the two sides in the same way. So, and here I am going to insert my needle underneath both these loops like this. So here and then here, here, and then here, and I will continue in this way until I reach the end of the sole. So I have finished sewing. Now I'm going to weave in my end, my tail, in order to secure it, and I have finished the booty. So let me show you. This is the one side of the booty. It can be worn like this, or you can even turn it on the other side and also wear it like this. So this is the way we knit this pair of baby booties. I hope you liked my tutorial, and if you did, please leave a thumbs up so you will get notified when I upload a new video.